Your financial advisor probably says, max out your 401k, skip life insurance, ride the market. But what if that advice is quietly draining six figures in taxes, in fees, and in missed growth? What if the plan that's supposed to secure your retirement is actually funding the IRS's? Today, I'm breaking down the real pros and cons of Index Universal Life, IUL, what it really is, what it isn't, and why most professionals only hear half of the story. In this video, you'll discover how an IUL really works, beyond the hype and the sales pitch, how to build tax-free retirement income, even if your 401k is maxed out, how to shield your wealth from market crashes and rising taxes without gambling with stocks, the hidden landmines most agents gloss over, like fees, caps, loan traps, and surrender charges, and the number one mistake that destroyed real IUL policies, plus how to make sure it never happens to you. Hello, my name is Robert Balgach. I'm the founder and CEO of Black Swan Insurance Group, and since 2017, we've helped over 20,000 families build tax-free retirement strategies and protect their wealth using properly designed Index Universal Life policies. Our focus: high-income professionals, doctors, attorneys, tech executives, and small business owners who are done with the market swings, sick and tired of traditional retirement traps, and ready for real answers, not recycled advice. And here's the truth. Most people have wildly inaccurate ideas about how IULs actually work. Why? Because this industry is flooded with commission-hungry agents pitching zero risk, tax-free income without disclosing the cost, the structure, or the fine print. We've reviewed thousands of IULs, and most of them are underperforming, overcharged, or one bad year away from collapse. That's why this breakdown pulls no punches. I'll show you the real math, the real mechanics, and the real risks, so you can use this tool the right way, or walk away with your eyes wide open. If you're earning over $150,000 a year, you already know the game is rigged. Roth IRA, phased out. 401k, you're not avoiding taxes, just postponing the pain. Most retirement plans punish success with caps, limits, and forced distributions. That's why high-income professionals use IULs differently, not as life insurance, but as a private tax shelter that helps them, number one, maximize post-tax dollars, number two, eliminate future tax friction, number three, and escape government control of their assets. And here's where IUL wins. No contribution limits, no required distributions, and no IRS partnership in retirement. It gives high earners what the tax code tries to take away: full control. That's why the wealthy use it to engineer retirement on their own terms. Okay, so let's get real. IULs can be powerful, but if they're not structured right, they can blow up in your face. And here are the landmines most agents never mention. Number one, internal costs. Every IUL has fees, and if you don't structure it correctly, they'll quietly erode your gains. Here's to watch for. Number one, premium loads. A cut taken right off the top every time you fund the policy. Number two, monthly admin charges. These are the flat fees that stack up over time. Number three, cost of insurance, also known as COI. That's the biggest one. It increases as you age and as your net amount at risk stays high. If your policy is underfunded, meaning you're not stuffing enough premium in early, these fees compound against you. Instead of your cash value compounding for you, the costs start compounding against you. And that's when policies stagnate, or worse, start bleeding cash value. We've seen IULs earning 6% gross per year, but netting just 1% or less because of bloated fees and poor design. Bottom line, an IUL needs to be max funded, lean, and built with surgical precision. Otherwise, those internal costs can quietly eat your retirement alive. Number two, caps. Here's something most agents gloss over. With an IUL, you don't get a full market upside. Most IULs include a cap, which is a maximum limit on how much of the market gain you actually receive. That cap is usually in the range of 10 to 12%. So what happens if the S&P 500 index surges 20 or 25% or even more? You're still stuck at 10% or 12%, whatever that cap is. That's your seal, and no matter how well the market performs. Why does this matter? Because those breakout bull market years, the ones that drive real portfolio growth, you don't fully participate in those. And over time, missing out on those high return years can drag down your average performance. Now to be clear, this is the trade-off of having downside protection. So your policy won't lose value when the market drops, thanks to the 0% floor. But that safety comes at a cost, and that is the cap on the upside. So the problem is most agents sell the floor, but skip the fine print on the cap. And the bottom line is you're giving up big wins to avoid big losses. That can be a smart move, but only if your policy is structured to make the most out of what's left in between. Number 3, surrender charges and the early exit penalty. Here's what most people don't realize until it's too late. If you cancel an IUL in the first 10 to 15 years, and boom, you could lose thousands. Why? Because most IULs come with surrender charges. These are the hefty penalties designed to recoup upfront costs like agent commissions and administrative fees. These charges decline slowly over time, but in the early years, they can be brutal. Imagine this. You put in $20,000 in year 1. Something changes, maybe you lose your job or need to pivot your finances, and you go to cancel, and your surrender value might be $12,000. Then you just lost $8,000 overnight, not to fees, not to market losses, but to policy design. And it's not just a full cancellation. Even large withdrawals or early loans during the surrender period can trigger penalties or reduce long-term performance. It's like planting a tree and ripping it out just before the roots take hold. You don't just lose growth, you lose part of your initial investment too. Bottom line, IULs are a long game. If there's any chance you'll need to pull the plug early, this strategy may not be a good fit for you, or it needs to be structured with built-in flexibility from day one that avoids the surrender charges. Number 4, lapse risk, the silent killer. This is the danger nobody sees coming until it's too late. Here's how it happens. You start taking policy loans, everything looks fine, but if you take out too much, too fast, and your cash value isn't growing fast enough to cover the ongoing costs, the policy could collapse. And when it lapses with loans outstanding, that's when the IRS steps in and treats every dollar you borrowed as taxable income, all at once. We've seen people hit with 6-figure tax bill in retirement because no one warned them how this really works. And the worst part, it wasn't the market, it wasn't the IRS changing the rules, it was the policyholder unknowingly draining the engine that kept the strategy alive. Bottom line, an IUL is not set it and forget it. It's a dynamic tool that needs to be monitored, managed, and designed with precision. In the right hands, it's powerful. In the wrong hands, it's a ticking time bomb. Here's the truth. A great IUL doesn't just happen. It's engineered. When it's designed right, it becomes a tax-free income machine. When it's designed wrong, it turns into slow-motion disaster. So how do you get it right? Max fund it. Push in as much premium as the IRS allows without triggering a taxable modified endowment contract or MEC. More fuel in the tank means more long-term power. Minimize the debt benefit. This isn't about life insurance, it's about leverage. The lower your insurance cost, the more your money compounds. Pick smart index strategies. S&P 500 index for sure. But also explore volatility control indices and 2-year options with higher caps and better consistency. Do annual reviews. This isn't just set it and forget it product. It's dynamic, and it needs periodic tuning in to stay on track. I've seen IULs earning 11% gross, but netting just 4% because they were bloated with fees. I've also seen others net over 9% tax-free because every lever was optimized. The difference? A builder versus a salesman. 95% of policies we audit are built for commissions, not for clients. So don't settle for default. Get it designed like the wealthy do, on purpose. Think IUL is just some fringe strategy pitched by insurance agents? Think again. Some of the wealthiest families in America use it. Fortune 500 executives use it. Even banks use a version of it to store their Tier 1 capital. Why? Because it solves a problem the rich actually care about. How to grow wealth without giving up control or triggering taxes. With a properly designed IUL, you are not handcuffed by Roth income limits. You're not riding the 401k roller coaster. You're not forced into taxable withdrawals at 73. Instead, you get privacy, liquidity, and tax-free cash flow. That's why the wealthy use IULs quietly and consistently. While most professionals argue which index fund to park inside their tax time, and here's what they know that most people don't. The tax code doesn't reward procrastination. It rewards planners. If you're earning $150,000, $300,000, $500,000 a year, you don't need another mutual fund. You need a strategy, and this could be it. At this point, you might be wondering, okay, this all sounds great, but how do I know if an IUL will actually work for me? That's a great question. The answer? You're going to stress test it. Here's how we do that. So we model multiple return scenarios, not just the rosy 6.5% or 7% most illustrations show. We test 4%, 5%, even flat years. So you know how it holds up in real world conditions. Adjust loan timing. So one income is 55, 62, 70. That changes your entire funding plan, and we count for it. Compare funding strategies. Would a 5-year sprint serve you better than a 10-year drip? We model both to match your actual cash flow and comfort zone. Measure internal drag. How much of your growth is being eaten by fees, charges, or insurance costs? We expose those numbers up front, so you're not flying blind. Align it with your actual goals. Tax-free retirement income, legacy planning, a capital gains shelter. Your design depends on your destination. That's why we don't sell templates. We build blueprints around you and your goals. By the way, if you want fast, personalized answers based on your income, age, or retirement goals, we built a free AI-powered tool called IUL Custom GPT, and it's like having the smartest IUL strategist in your pocket, available 24/7. You can try it anytime, during or after this video. Just click on the link in the description. So let's recap. You now understand how IUL works and how it grows your wealth tax-deferred, protects you from market losses, and creates tax-free income in retirement. You've seen how it stacks up against traditional accounts and why Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, and 401ks often fall short for high-income earners. You know the real risks, fees, caps, surrender charges, and how to avoid them through smart design. You've learned how to stress test any IUL using your goals, your numbers, and your timeline. At this point, you're ahead of 99% of professionals who still think life insurance is just about that. So what's next? Well, we can run you numbers, show you how much tax-free income is possible, and if it's a fit, we'll custom design your tax-free wealth blueprint. These are one-on-one sessions, and we can only take a limited number of people each week. So if you want personalized guidance, now is the best time to grab your spot. You can click on the link below. If you want to keep learning, you need to watch the next video, IUL versus whole life versus term, which one protects your legacy. And that video has a clear side-by-side breakdown of all 3 major types of life insurance. You'll see what fits with each stage of life, what each policy is really designed for, and why most high-income professionals choose IUL for its living benefits and long-term flexibility. And the link is on the screen now and in the description. Whichever path you choose, clarity beats guesswork any day of the week. That's how you build wealth with intention. And remember, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Enjoy the ride.